This is one more item. ഇത് വേണമെങ്കിൽ എപ്പോഴും വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കാം. ഒരു PCB കച്ചിയ എഞ്ചിനീയറോ ആരെങ്കിലും you can get them on the stand. You ask them a question. Okay, this is in the absence of calculating it. So instead of measuring everything, of course initially people only know how to measure the emissions from a plant, but the technique has become so well empirically established in the Varnyal. It's so old, they know how to calculate what are the emissions if they have all the details, which is common. So if you what the question you need to ask, have you ever calculated the emissions for any plant? Have you calculated the emissions for this Kutikar plant or any plant for the matter? Ask him. Have you ever been trained to do that? Do you know there are plenty of calculators to do this? So now I'm going to show you one just for the example. We can go through this later. The reason I will explain. This is a calculator, Hotmix air emissions calculator. Stack monitoring in avashamilla. Otherwise, even if you do it in the way that our labs in Kerala or India can do, you will never know, you'll never be able to detect all the parameters. Okay, let me just show you one example. See, all these things to show up how much does emissions does it come per year, how many tons per year of potential emissions, actual emissions. If you want these numbers to appear itself, it's already waiting for calculation. It is waiting for inputs on these blue boxes. Some are just nominal, the name of the plant. These are all nominal. I can put ABC, it doesn't matter. Plant type, of course you need to put the type, because in a drum type, in Kutikartan type is a drum type. What fuel do they use in a dryer? So you need to say the fuel that is used. So everything will be calculated based on our. Of course, Kutikartan is a worst case, so you can pick the worst case fuel, or you can go and edit the formula to suit his thing. We'll have to look at it and ask some people, and we'll do that. Which type of emission do you want to dry a hot screen, a mixer? This we need to. So this document need to go and read this to understand, to place this. So we are not familiar with this one. Of course, we should know this, but I don't expect them to know this. All right. Do you have specific asphalt volatility and hot mix temperature? If then you'll have to say that, yes, no. If then the subsequent questions will happen. Each of these 4 or 5 tables or sub pages of this file, okay, whether natural gas or propane or something else, and then it even tells in terms of fugitive gases, fugitive escaping gases. This is an EPA's table actually. So we know that they are getting information based on EPA's table. The formulas all are visible. You can trace it. Anybody can do that. Anybody who's capable can go and take a look at this. This is not that complicated. So, okay, the interesting thing is that you will be able to tell, it will predict, once you input all the tonnage and all the input, what I think there's less than, among all the 4 or 5 sheets, okay, there are hardly 10 inputs that you need to put. Once you do that, all these numbers will appear. Potential emissions and even things that you cannot possibly measure easily, which will be very, very expensive to measure. And because these have the approval of the Environment Protection Agency, these will be accepted anywhere. So even without any of their measurements, which we will never be able to do this. And I was told this some time ago when I was checking with the legal team. There are free legal team. I mean, they are sponsored by contributions there in the US, and many parts of the world use what they have already noted and found out. They freely share that information, and I've been able to uh, get to speed because of them. So, in essence, I'm just presenting this so that we understand this. We may be able to use this. If you think you can handle this, um, you can. There are ways how this can be used. Legally there are ways. You ask me when we get closer. You don't wait for the last moment to for this point. If you get everything is a source. You see, source is EPA. This is actually that document where it talks about emissions. So it is actually taking everything from there for all the formulas and sources. So it has got a lot of validity. And the fact that it is done, when I see this date, the raw file has got 2023 date, which means it's one of the latest, you know. So I could actually go out and see whether there's anything better. Usually we don't have to. So my point is that we can actually know what is the typical emissions, of course, and you can multiply it by another factor of 10, given that Kutikkaran's plant is run at a very bad state with no basic conditions, no filters sometimes, and when you see heavy smoke and when you can smell heavy, which means they are running it at very bad condition, torn bags and so on. They don't have a wet scrubber, that's for sure.